Track wrestling at Pinnacle Wrestling School. I'm with Mack Reiter, four-time state champion for Iowa. He went to Minnesota, three-time All-American, coach at Pinnacle, and we're right in the lobbyway, right in the entryway of Pinnacle Wrestling School. Tell us what we're about to see and tell us the concept behind this design.
Yeah, so we'll walk through the facility here. This is a building we've been in for about a year and a half now. Before that, we were just about 5 miles north of here. We were able to find a space that's a little bit larger, added about a mat and a half into the wrestling. We'll see in a little bit, and just a little bit more space for the kids and the parents. You know, we a lot of times Sundays we'll run 4 practices on here on Sunday. Well, for parents, a lot of times they bring 2-3 kids at a time, and they're not always in the same practice. So there's some things for them to do in between while maybe one brother's in the room, the other one has got some stuff that you can kind of see. But this is just the entryway. Got a banner up here and stuff. Just this little counter area is where Josh McLean runs a strength program out of here. We'll look at the weight room in a little bit, but he has some protein smoothies and stuff for the guys after they get done with their lifts. He serves them right out of there. Got an apparel room with just a bunch of stuff to help get the name out there.
A lot of people buy stuff?
Yeah, we got a lot of kids like to represent the brand. It's kind of a badge of honor almost at this point up here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, where a lot of guys, they like wearing it, whether it's a singlet or shirts or whatever.
And then Jared's
got his gold singlet from when he won his national title up. Brandon, there's used to be his Olympic medal was hanging in there. Somebody must have stole that, or I think he probably moved it to a safer place. You'll see that there are no awards for me up. There's probably a reason for that. I didn't win anything.
You won Big Ten title, 4 state championships.
My brother has that medal. I gave that one to him.
Okay.
This is a little room for just kind of kids can hang out. Not much happens. They got video games and stuff they play. Back in here is another room for some parents to hang out. Jared put his chart up in this room. So
this is championship.
Where he won his national title.
There it is, Jared Lawrence, 3-1 over Jared Freyer in the finals.
Head back this way. One of the things we think works really well, this is our parents' viewing areas, and then this is a two-way mirror. So the parents can see into the room and they can see what's going on in there, but the kids can't see out. And I think a big thing that reason that works really well is that sometimes we noticed that a kid would get taken down and immediately would look to the corner and see if his parents were watching him to see him get taken down. And then, now he's not wrestling anymore. Now he's just trying to, appease his dad or appease his mom and make sure that they're not mad at him and stuff, instead of just relaxing and just, flow. Just practice. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. So just have fun. Try things out. And we think that the two-way mirror really does a lot for that, in the sense that they can't tell. They have no idea if their parents even sit in this room or not, or watch them at all. They just get to wrestle. So through this room then, or the door here is into the room. Looks like we got some guys getting ready for practice. We'll warm up with some spike ball. 3.5 mats now. Like I said, it was 2.5 mats before, so we're up to 3.5 now with this new space. A couple of things we have for decorations. The flags up on the walls on all the sides is where we try to represent the schools where we've sent a kid to. Every college that we've sent a kid to is represented, except for a couple. We still need to get a Stanford flag up there and a Columbia flag up there. We got a couple guys, one at each of those places. I think those are the only ones right now that we don't have represented. But yeah, 3.5 mats. Put the netting in up here. I don't know if that'll show up on the camera, but protect the lights. The dodgeball and spike ball generally are not kind to fluorescent lighting.
And then these are some great banners here, yeah.
Yeah, down here a little further we've got banners that we have made every year. Represents all of the national champs from that year, or this one shows all the world team members we've had in the past. The national titles are the USA Wrestling Circuit, or else Tulsa Nationals for the youth, Super 32s, or else Senior Nationals, the NHSCA. So every year we add a new banner. If the print's a lot smaller, it's better year than if the print's too big. I don't like that. So,
what's a comfortable amount of kids that can be in here and be effective?
Well, so our high school group, and obviously it depends on size. High school, you're not going to be able to get as many in here, but we run 2 practices a night on Tuesdays, Thursdays in high school, and I think we have about 75 signed up for each practice. generally, if all 75 showed up, it's going to be fairly crowded in here. Usually about 50 show up a night, and so then it's not too bad. Tonight we're condensed down to just one practice. As the spring wears on a little bit, some guys kind of stop going, and especially if they're not going to wrestle in Fargo, then they may not stop coming. So tonight we got dropped down to one practice. So probably be somewhere around 65, 70 kids in here. So drilling wise, it's not too bad. Once we go live, we'll split them in half. But yeah, youth they don't take up nearly as much space, so we can get 75, 80 in here at a time. And generally, we don't get that many because we'll have 4 coaches on every practice, and 4 coaches for 80 kids is just not the right ratio that you're looking for. So ideally, it's somewhere around 1 coach per 15 kids or so, I think is a good number.
And you grew up in the Gilbertville-Don-Bosco culture, which is probably the quintessential 1A small town culture.
Yeah.
They believe in it. They love wrestling. How does this compare to what you grew up in?
Well, that one's funny because that's probably 15 coaches to 1 athlete in that place. But it's so different because we get kids that come from all across the state of Minnesota. We get kids that come from Wisconsin. We get kids that come, from all over the place. We had, I always said that one of the most impressive ones was Cameron Socorro to me. He would come 2-3 days a week, and he went to Border West High School, which is about 4 hours from here, one way. And he would make the drive. And to me, I think about that from my perspective. That's about exactly how far I grew up from here, and I couldn't have imagined driving to the cities 2 nights a week for a practice. But the amount of kids that come through this room and the talent that these kids are, it's mind-blowing. I love being in this room because it's the skill level for our youth elite practices, which is 6th to 8th graders, is far better than I've ever had in my entire life. They're doing things that there's no way I could have ever dreamed of doing or knowing at all when I was competing. So it's the way that the skill level is rapidly increasing is pretty impressive. So.
And then you have a nice weight room too?
Yeah, as I said, Josh McLean, he was a Pinnacle guy a long time ago. Went on, got a degree in physical therapy, and so we partnered with him to add a weight room in here. So some of the guys are in here lifting right now, but it's he's got the Ninja Warrior gym through here. He's got a lot of different things for guys to do for lifting. So he's pretty creative in some of the workouts that he creates that keep these guys getting stronger. And that's one of the big things. It's a full service gym. We have we handle your technique and your training wrestling wise, but he handles your strength and your nutrition. He's an excellent dietitian as well. So that's a big part of wrestling, is cutting weight. And he's able to get these guys on the right plan to make sure they're monitoring their weight the right way.
When you look back, we talked about culture, and you grew up in that Don Bosco system.
Yeah.
How would this have affected you if you had this when you were in high school?
Man, I would have been like a kid in a candy store. Growing up, we can move out of here. It's a little quieter in this room, but I loved it. Growing up, I loved wrestling, everything about it, and I never could get enough. Dad would drive us. Mom would drive us to practices all the time. They were finding place, whether it's Gilbertville or we'd go up to the Wallhawk practices, or back in the day we had the Starburst Freestyle Club in Cedar Falls, and then for a long time I would go down to Iowa City West with Mark Ryland. So I was going everywhere I could to train and to find partners, because generally, Gilbertville, the training was there and the attitude was there, but a lot of times the numbers just weren't kind of what I needed. So having to seek out to find those practice partners was a challenge, where I could come to a place like this and you could go a month and never wrestle the same guy in practice and be just fine, because you've got so many different options. And then to walk right in there, I've always said, I didn't lift a weight until I got to college. I didn't know what I was doing. So somebody like Josh would have just been really, really cool to have.
I got to think if your dad was still alive, he would have tried to build something in this place.
Yeah, he would have. If he would have seen something like this, then he would have ran with it in the Gilbertville area. I believe there's gyms that are making it work down there, and I haven't been through them. I know the Elite Takedown Club has a real good thing going there. I haven't seen their space, but yeah, he would have been a part of it for sure.
Do you feel like it's an arms race with this level of wrestling? We see it in the college level. Is there an arms race with this type of development?
I guess there probably is. There's some competition within the metro area here, but nobody that has their own facility. A couple other clubs, but they maybe run it out of Apple Valley High School. They run out of St. Michael High School. Whereas this facility is Pinnacle Wrestling, and there's a sign out in the front of the building that says Pinnacle Wrestling, and I think that's a big thing. People, the culture that builds. The parents hang out together. We start their kids when they're 6 years old, and if their kids keep coming, then the parents just become great friends. A lot of them, they come, they drop their kids off, and they go, whether they hang out at a bar, or they go to a restaurant, or they get out of here. They trust us that they don't need to sit here and monitor and see what's going on in here. It's kind of their time where they can go grocery shopping, or they can get some errands done while their kids getting some training in.
You still show these kids the cradle?
Oh yeah, that's about the only thing they let me show anymore. Well, the only thing I serve of any value. I'm pretty convinced at this point, after showing technique with Jared for the last 10 years, that there's only one move in the world that I can show that's better than he can show, and that's a cradle. So I pretty much defer to him on all that stuff.
Thanks for this tour. We appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
All right.